Hello, good evening, mighty viewers. Welcome to My Talent, My Strength. And today we're going to be conversing about what it takes to move from campus to a corporate, what it takes to align yourself, your interests, your talents with your career, and not just align, but to really blossom and create magnificence out there. In our conversation with Rajdat, you're going to see what it takes to make a transition from an international MBA school to a flying career, a dream career in internal sales at Singapore with one of the leading IT companies. I'm gonna bring in Rajdat on the show. Hey Raj, hi, good
Hi,
evening,
hi, good evening, Leela.
and I'm so glad that you're here. For
Thank
the
you so
viewers
much.
out, yes, buddy, yes, for the viewers out there, Raj was one of my early 2017 coaches, and he came to me at a very beautiful time when he was transiting from SP Jain International. What is it called? International
SP,
Campus.
SPGen School of Global Management, the global
Sorry,
campus.
yeah,
Yeah.
SP Jain School of Global Management, Global Campus. Sorry, yeah. So from there, he was shifting to Singapore. Am I right, Raj?
So I was actually in Singapore and I was shifting to Kuala Lumpur.
Yeah, from Singapore, he was shifting to Kuala Lumpur. And during this transition, he decided to get into a journey on knowing what his talents and strengths were. So now let's listen from Raj himself what his story is. How did he go to Singapore and what made him, choose, uh, make a decision to know what his talents and strengths are? Over to you, Raj. So, can you tell us about your journey from Mumbai to um, Singapore
So,
and
yeah,
on the international
right.
campus?
Sure. So the first time I actually stepped out of India was for my MBA course with
Mhm.
SPGen School of Global Management. So this was a very interesting program where we had 3 terms in the course, and every term was designed so that you have to attend it on a different campus. So there are 3 campuses: Singapore, Sydney, and Dubai. So every term has, you have to spend that term in that particular campus, and it's purposely designed to throw you in a lot of culturally diverse geographies, so that you get used to it and you learn the nitty gritty of those cultures and those geographies and how people behave. This is mainly done because in today's day and age, business is becoming global. You may be in based in India, but you could be handling a market, on the other part of the world. So I am based in Kuala Lumpur, but my main territories are India, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka. So India, South Asia. So I mean, that is how the world has changed rapidly, right?
Mhm.
Uh, so that is a little bit about SPGen. Coincidentally, after I finished my course in Dubai, I got an internship in Singapore. So I actually flew back to Singapore and I was doing my internship over there. And after that, I finished my internship, and that is when I got a job with Red Hat Malaysia. So my role was to basically work as a inside sales team member, and it was mainly a sales related role.
And exactly in that transition is when you approached Young Ovation.
Yes,
And I
yes,
very clearly remember you were in a quest of knowing yourself. You wanted to exceed and excel in your career. You wanted to kind of see figure yourself out in that career to see how best you can perform. So, can
right.
you give us a little background as to why you wanted to dwell in a journey of knowing your talents and strengths?
All right. So sales is something that I never thought I would get into. Like it was nowhere on my map when I was studying, or when I was even looking at my MBA. I never really wanted to, like, never really thought I would get into sales. Always thought I was probably a more of a marketing or a salesperson.
Just a
Uh,
second.
yeah,
For the viewers out there, Raj has a gold medal in marketing. Would you want to talk about that as well before
yeah,
we shift in?
yeah. So I Did get a gold medal in marketing when I graduated from SPGN School of Global Management. And it's kind of, even more closer to my heart because not a lot of people would know this, but I flunked my first year of engineering. So I'm not proud about it, but I did flunk my first year of engineering. So I actually finished my engineering in 5 years instead of four, which is what generally people do. So this gold medal was kind of, it wasn't about, getting a, it was of course about getting a good job. I wanted to get a good job, but it wasn't all about that. It was, something to prove to myself. So when you go to
Wow.
an MBA college, generally it's a very competitive batch, right? But I guess, like, in my case, I was just competing with myself. Like, I didn't really care, what was my GPA, or, what was the relative grading like. It was just that, like, I have to do my best. So that was a very interesting kind of a journey. Yeah, from a first year, what you can say, failure to MBA gold medalist.
So, for all those students out there who have not done well in their studies before, when you really find where your passion and your interest really match, I think that's what happened to you in your MBA in
Yes,
marketing, right?
exactly, exactly,
You saw
exactly.
yourself
Yes,
beautifully flowing in, and you saw yourself really getting that on. And we'll talk more about it because Raj has amazing talent themes which I've already put up, and that's where the chemistry worked for Raj. So
correct,
probably he was not enjoying his engineering as much as he enjoyed his MBA in marketing. It
right.
was so well flowing that he actually thrived and got a golden, I mean, uh,
Gold
gold
medal
medal
in
in it.
marketing. Yeah, yeah.
Superb. Okay, superb. So, talk us about your sales career and the confusion and how it kind of
So
your talents journey helped you.
yeah. So the reason why I took up engineering was because I had a passion for tech. I love tech. I mean, really believe that, tech is something that can, free ourselves from a lot of problems that the society is facing. So I had a lot of interest and passion for tech, and that was the reason why, I got into engineering. So I didn't really care, that my batchmates were going to engineering, or, like, you in India, they say that it's a funny saying that you first do engineering and then you decide what to do with your life.
Mhm.
But with me, that was not the case. I always wanted to be in tech. But when I entered engineering, I felt that there was something that did not come to me very naturally. At least at that point in life, it wasn't coming to me very naturally, and I was kind of struggling. Of course, I had a lot of backlogs during my 12th. My concepts weren't cleared, and I kind of, like, the whole fiasco happened, and I kind of flunked my first year. So after my engineering, I ended up with a digital education company, and I ended up in marketing. So when half or like 90% of my class was with other IT companies, you know how recruitment happens in India. I kind of was fortunate enough not was I fortunately wasn't allowed to sit for the placements because I had like a lot of pending subjects, and I ended up with a digital marketing, digital education company, where I was handling marketing. And that is when I realized that this is something that I love doing. Like, this is something that I naturally, am good at. So I thought, why not try to, explore if I can do something in tech plus integrate marketing into that. So that was the reason why I kind of, decided to do an MBA. So for me, like, every single decision was a very well thought through decision, and it wasn't that, like, everyone is doing it, so I want to do it. I did it because I wanted to do it.
Wow,
Yeah,
you did it because you wanted to do it.
right,
Brilliant. Because most of the students, you find them going with the flow, going with what the peers are doing, and kind of, getting into doing their MBAs just because they don't know what else to do. Honestly, I come across a
right,
lot of them. Yeah,
true,
though they may superficially say, yeah, no, I am interested, I'm doing this because that's where I see myself. But if you really tap them a little harder, then you will see that it's a decision that has come because they don't know what else to do.
true.
Brilliant, brilliant, Raj, go ahead.
So, as a matter of fact, I took almost like a gap of 6 to 8 months after my engineering, and I just said like I'm going to sit at home and figure out what I want to do with life, because I didn't want to run and win a race and then like realize this is not a race which I wanted to run and win
Want
in
to
the
be
first
in?
place. Like, yeah, so I mean, like, that is the worst thing that you can do, right? Like, you win, but then you realize that this is not something that you even wanted to be winning at, or this is something that you did not want to do. So I was like very particular about the fact that I really want to figure out what I want to do. So I during those 6 to 8 months I just did like a lot of random things. So I did like a public speaking class, I did a writing class, I did some technical courses online, and this is where my first, journey for understanding my strengths started. So I did take a few of, the what do you call it, the tests which let you, look at your, like what are you strong at? Like, are you strong at maths or are you strong at English? But it
Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
give
yeah.
me a very satisfactory, result at that point.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So that is when I of course we met through a common friend, and so that is when I was very keen to find out what exactly my strengths are. And my experience with young ovation was very different, right? So it was a contrast from the other tests that I had taken before. So this was all about what I'm naturally strong at, and how I can build on that and basically utilize that on a day to day basis. So that is where I found the sweet spot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. Raj, you were actually, before I interrupted you on the gold medal, you were actually talking about, you having a job, got a job in Kuala Lumpur, and before taking up is when you actually got on this journey. I'm more
Right.
curious about why did you exactly want to know more about yourself
Right,
while you
right.
were making a transition.
Yeah, I think I strayed away from the topic a little bit. Yeah, yeah.
No,
So I'll
that's
come back
okay.
to
That's okay.
that.
That's because why I'm really kind of insisting or kind of wanting to know more about it, because a lot of youth go through the phase that you went through, so it
Right,
could be adding a lot of value to them.
right. So when I graduated from my MBA, so that was the point when I, had to really decide, like, what I would be doing for a significant period of time in my career. So, as I said, like I was always passionate about technology, and I really wanted to figure out what I'm strong at and wanted to see, where that intersects. So when I took the Gallup Strength Finder test, and like you coached me through the strengths and like all the exercises we did, and that is when we came across my themes, and these themes by and large fell into a person who does sales, or from a someone who is kind of good at sales. So because of these things, I was kind of it indicated that probably I could be good in sales for a tech company.
Hmm.
So
And there you
yeah,
were with Red Hat.
yeah, yeah, that there I was with Red Hat. So it was a huge kind of a thumbs up for me that I'm on the correct track, and that I can succeed in this role that I'm going to embark upon.
Wow. So, how was your first day at office, or rather, how was your first few days in office? Were you a lot more confident? Were you really looking forward to what's coming in front of you, and were you really excited about the kind of work you were doing at on internal sales?
Yeah, so uh, to be very honest, because of the coaching that I underwent with you, I was very, confident when I went for my first day at Red Hat. So I always knew that this is something that I'm really strong at, and I just need to go and execute. I never had like doubts in my mind. Is this something like, have I made a correct decision? Is this something that I will be strong at? So because I always had that confidence because of the coaching that I undergone, I could just from day one, I was just on. Like I just had to go and execute and learn things. So I was much more excited and open-minded about my job role. Um, I feel that I probably may not have been that open-minded, or at least a little bit scared, had I not undergone the coaching.
Awesome, buddy. Awesome. Can you walk us through your talent themes and can you reflect on how it kind of falls in your workplace? How do you naturally use them in your workplace?
Oh, sure, sure. So the first theme is futuristic. So this was absolutely not a surprise for me. So I've always been called a daydreamer by my teachers and my parents. Um, but the Gallup Strength Finder test and the coaching that I had subsequently taught me how to use this strength uh, to the fullest of my advantage. So that daydreaming became turned into visualization and goal setting, right? There's a fine line between that, right? Like if you don't channelize your strength, you can end up not really doing a lot of things with your strengths. So that is where the futuristic theme played a huge importance. So even today, when I work in sales, the commissions don't excite me as much as the future prospects that I would get if I do a good job, right? Like,
Hmm.
of course, there are a lot of people in my team, a lot of my colleagues who are mainly driven by the commissions, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's just that that's not for me. So, even when I get my quarterly commissions paycheck, I don't really, I'm not very keen to look at it like how much commissions did I make this quarter, because of
Hmm.
course it's important, but it's not that important for me. So that is where I see futuristic playing a huge role. So I'm always more motivated by what is in the future if I do a good job, and
Hmm.
that is where a lot of my strength comes from and a lot of my motivation comes. So moving on to the second theme, competition was a little bit of a theme that was surprising for me. It was also because I had never really thought about competition in that way. So I always thought about competition in a negative way, but
Hmm.
it should not have been the case. After realizing that was my theme, I kind of started looking at competition from a more positive aspect. So, competition for me, how it works on a day-to-day basis is you're always competing with other people in your team, especially in sales, which is a very highly number and a target-driven um, profession. You're always competing with other people in your team. You're always competing with other sales representatives in your competitors' organizations. So it
Hmm.
allowed me to benchmark myself, with them, and kind of became a source of enthusiasm and excitement. Like I started like turn that into a game rather than looking at it as a threat. So that is where it allowed me to harness my strength. So to be very honest, I never really thought I would be a person with a competition theme. Again,
I
positive.
still
Yeah.
remember while we were diving deep on your competition and we were trying to see how it's reflecting. You spoke about you being a sports person, you being in swimming, and you kind of had taken it up to you were participating for Mumbai, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So
Yeah.
there
Go
were
ahead.
glimpses of competition right from early on, right?
Yes, yes, there were glimpses of competition, but I guess like until I did this exercise and this coaching, it didn't really,
Connect
come
the
across.
dots.
Yeah, it did not connect the dots exactly.
Absolutely. So that's what happens, viewers, when you actually, I mean, you could be living it, it could be a part of you, but what happens when you actually get to know your talents is you get clarity around them. And when you get clarity around them, it's like, I have competition and you exactly know how it's going to serve me and how I can start using that more effectively so that it serves me wisely. Isn't that, Raj?
That's true. That is true.
Super. Go ahead, buddy.
That
Go
is true.
ahead.
So the third theme is positivity. Positivity is something that I always harnessed, and I've always utilized that for getting through difficult periods in my life. So as I spoke about my the time during which I failed in my first year of engineering, that was a very difficult time for me, and I kept my motivation up by reading about great figures in history who have failed and persevered to achieve great things in life. So Abraham Lincoln is a huge person hero of mine. So Abraham Lincoln endured a lot of failures before he went on to become the president of the United States of America, and that is something that the positivity theme allowed me to look at the brighter side, and you know it allowed me to persevere.
Mhm. This beautiful message that Raj is trying to give. All of us go through lows in our lives, right? And when you're able to connect these lows in our life to something really profound, like how Raj is right now saying, connecting it to Abraham Lincoln, connecting to people in history who failed, because every failure has a lesson, and every failure is out there to make us something super special if we connect to what it is trying to teach us. So awesome, awesome, Raj. So you brought in your positivity, you saw that you're a hero out there, and all heroes do go through major failures, and
Right.
it was perfect for you to be there because it was like setting a plot.
True.
I mean,
True.
even today, it's so you'll probably spread so much of light to people who have probably failed in their engineering, because I have myself personally coached about seven of them who have failed in their engineering. Okay, and
Sure.
they're they're really doing good now, right? So, of course, y- you stand as an example because of your positivity, and I'm truly amazed by it. Go ahead, Raj.
Great.
Please go ahead.
Yeah. So, relator is another theme that that's a fourth theme which I have.
Hey, before
I
you get into
Yeah.
relator, okay, how does positivity play for you at work?
So positivity, I think, allows me to look at the positive aspects of people. So especially
Mhm.
in sales, when it's a very number and a target driven profession, as I said, and a lot of times that makes things like very competitive, right? And it can take a toll on relationships with your colleagues and with your team members, and sometimes even the other people outside your organization that you're working with. So my positivity talent theme allows me to look at the positive aspects of people. It allows me to look at a situation or the actions of a person from a different perspective, and
Mhm.
that is something that does change the situation quite a bit. It allows you to kind of step back and look at the entire the entire happenings from a different light. So that
Perspective.
is, yeah.
Beautiful. Go ahead.
Yeah, so that is what I feel positivity works in my day-to-day life, personally and professionally.
And what's amazing is Raj and me share two themes in common. Of course, my positivity is at number six, Raj.
Okay.
Whereas my futuristic is my second talent theme.
Right.
So that's where we share two themes almost, because again, though it's at number six, but you can see that positivity right now again flowing through. So that's how it is for me. Go
Right.
ahead, buddy, and your beautiful relator.
Yeah. So, Relator, of course, it allows me to build really strong relationships with people. It allows me to build genuine relationships where there's a lot of trust, and I can always fall back on, the people whom I call my friends or my team members, or the people whom I place my trust in. So that is what allows me to navigate the interpersonal challenges or the interpersonal obstacles that you have in your work on a day-to-day basis. So that is where my related theme works.
And you were also sharing something really beautiful about how you know you learned to use your relator better through your manager. Would you want to share that?
Right. So so my manager, so of course he was my manager until a few months back. So this person was just probably the hands down one of the best bosses I've ever had. Just a gem of a person, and he used to openly admit that like he wasn't always the smartest person in the room. but he had such awesome people management skill that like people used to love working for this guy. And I always felt that this is a person that I can relate to, this is a person that I can get a lot of benefits from. So my manager eventually became my mentor as well. And on a so when you start working, you realize that some people are naturally talented at people management, some people are naturally talented at processes, some people are naturally they are the natural subject matter experts that people go to for advice and whenever they require help. So
Hmm.
you can't say that like one strength is right or the other strength is right, but you need to align yourself so that you can get the best of whatever resources you have available. So my relator theme allowed me to identify that my manager would make an awesome mentor for me, simply because we aligned so well, and like our thought processes were so well. So he could share a lot of experiences that he had undergone, and I could learn from there. So it allowed me to choose a proper mentor and make the most of the situation.
Beauty. Absolutely graceful. Yeah. Go ahead, buddy.
Yeah.
Your belief, the core of who Raj is. I still remember when we were going through belief and when you were talking about your values and what is it that you want to contribute. It was simply profound. The kind of vision that you have, the value system that you have. So, Raj, share us about your belief.
So my belief has always been about adding value, right? So be it adding value to your customers, be it adding value to your organization, or be it adding value to society. So adding value is something that is at the core of my belief, and
Hmm.
that is something that motivates me. And after doing the coaching, I felt that if I can if I can learn to harness this belief to the fullest, then irrespective of what the situation is or what I'm going through, I can always persevere and get out of that. So I think like belief is something that is my fifth theme, but it also underlines all the four other themes really profoundly. And that is what like forms the bedrock of all the other four themes that kind of allows me to harness. So if I have my belief strong, and if I am absolutely crystal clear about my belief, irrespective of the situation, irrespective of what I may be going through, I can always persevere and have that as my guiding star.
Wow, man, so profound, so beautiful. And I also remember, Raj, when we were doing the value mapping exercise and when we were looking at what your contributions were, um, something that you very beautifully said about what you want to contribute as Raj to the world. Would you want to share about that? Do you remember it?
I, to be very frank, I don't remember exactly, but if you can like
I
jog my
will I
memory,
will
I
share
think it
with
will come
you.
back to me.
It's like you wanted to really support the needy out there. Okay, you wanted to kind of give them employment. You wanted to kind of give them a hand that that they can take support of, and you wanted to help people rise, right? So this is what
Yeah,
I was just going through your notes today before having this conversation, and I'm like, wow, so profound. So
right.
what's I mean, what do you have to say about that?
So that is, I guess, my ultimate life ambition. That would be to get into entrepreneurship. So that is something that I really wanted to do. Entrepreneurship for me is, again, as I said, it goes back to adding value. Like that is like the perfect profession in which you're adding value to things around you. So of course I do understand the need for charity, and I'm a huge proponent of charity. But sometimes charity may not be enough, right? You need to have a sustainable way of making a positive impact, and that is what I feel. That is where entrepreneurship, generation of employment, and giving people the opportunity to do things comes into the picture. So I mean, it's the same as giving man a fish and versus teaching him how to fish, right? If you teach him how
Absolutely.
to fish, he will never be hungry for the rest of his life. So I guess I'm a huge proponent of that. So I do believe in charity. I'm a huge proponent of that, but I also feel that there should be a sustainable way of making a positive impact.
Absolutely. Brilliant, Pikri. Brilliant. Thank you so much for I know for you to reconnect would be this for the viewers. We did our assignment in Jan 2017, right? And I've been in touch with Raj, and it's so amazing to see how Raj is kind of is just going from strength to strength. uh Raj, would you want to announce about your promotion, or should I do it?
Yeah, you can go ahead. I don't like to
Okay,
brag about
Raj
myself.
is very recently promoted. I'm so glad that that has happened to him because he has worked his way out. I'm 200% sure he deserves it. And I want him to break the news as to what is this new promotion about, Raj.
So I've been working with my current organization for 1.5 year, and I felt that it was time for me to take things to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to move into an account manager role. So currently I was working in more of an inside sales or a market development kind of a role, and I decided to move on to the next level and move more into account management. So that is, I feel that, like, a lot of these teams have worked cumulatively to allow me to succeed at my current profile, which has led to me moving to my next step in my career.
If you want to cite a few, what are these themes that has really helped you from transit from your current role to your future role? Or rather, what has given you that support of to launch into the new role?
Right. So as I said earlier, so all my themes, all my 5 talent themes have worked really well with each other, or the realization of these themes has allowed me to harness all of them and use them very positively in my work. So there were a lot of assignments, or there were a lot of programs that I was nominated for. So for example, one program that I was nominated for was the aspiring manager program. So this program was, a program that was designed to select future leaders and future managers, whom the senior management thought, had a lot of potential. So I was one of the people nominated from my team, and that is where I felt a lot of my talent themes of relator, first of all, secondly, belief, and futuristic played a huge part. So relator, because as a people manager, you have to be able to relate to people, to understand their problems, to be able to motivate them, to be able to get the best out of them. My belief that I always wanted to add value uh, always allowed me to stay on track and keep on doing the correct things day after day. And futuristic was, it always had these goals in front of me, and I was always single-mindedly working towards them. So a
Hmm.
lot of these things, themes in quite different ways, worked with each other to allow me to take this step ahead.
Beauty, awesomeness, brilliant. Okay, Raj, you've already shared as to that you were a failure in engineering first year, and then how you made that beautiful transition from being a failure to being a gold medalist. Now, there are a lot of youth out there who could be in different phases of what you have gone through, or in some phases that you have never even seen. So what would be one beautiful message to the youth out there? How can they make themselves, literally flourish in their careers? Can you
Right.
share a few insights?
Sure. So I would like to share one message or one piece of advice that my first boss had shared with me. So he had told me that the value of a profession, or the value of any professional, depends on two things, right? It depends on supply and demand, right? So a lot of people have a lot of attraction towards some particular um, professions, but at the end of the day, it's just a basic principle of supply and demand that is playing out. So the supply bit is basically you being a professional. What are the services that you are supplying, and what is the quality of the service that you're supplying? And demand is, of course, the demand of that particular profession in the society. So now, for there may be some really sought after professions like engineering. But now, if you look at engineers, there are so many engineers that, like, there's a lot of supply and the demand has pretty much remained the same or has increased mildly. But I could argue that there are a lot of other professions where there's a lot of dearth of skilled professionals who are making far more, who are earning far more than some, other traditionally sought after professions like engineering or medicine. Like, for example, like, let me take the example of a hairstylist, right? So a good hairstylist or something like, a hairstylist who is really successful in his profession would probably earn a lot more than a engineer, right? And that is because of supply and demand. So I think you need to think about what is the supply that you are giving to your profession and what's the quality, and that you will be able to give a quality supply for your profession only if you're passionate about that, right? It almost sounds cliched, but it nevertheless stands true today and will stand true in the foreseeable future. Like, for example, when I was in school, investment banking was a very hot profession. Everyone wanted to get into investment banking. And after that, you had the 2008, 2009 crisis where the industry completely collapsed. Now, if you take the example of two people, an investment banker who is actually passionate about finance and his profession versus an investment banker who just got into that industry for the money or for the prestige of being an investment banker, who do you think will persevere? Of course, it's going to be the former person who is naturally passionate about that industry. And every profession or industry will go through a downtime. It's the basic
Absolutely.
principle of economics, right? Like, at least once or twice in your careers you will go through a phase when your profession is kind of, it's
On
facing
a
a
lower
slow,
spiral. Yeah.
yeah, on a lower spiral. And at that during that duration you need to have the passion to be able to persevere. And so generally you will be passionate about things that you are good at. There's a very high correlation between these two things. And when you undergo things like the Gallup Strength Finder test, or you undergo career coaching, that, like, the way I underwent with you, Leela, that is when it allows you to find out what you're good at. And that may not solve every single problem for you, but it will definitely give you a starting. It will be the first step. It will tell you which direction to head in, and that is something that everyone needs to invest in, right? So don't don't run and win a race and then realize that you never really wanted to win this race in the first place, or this is not something that even makes you happy. That is the worst feeling in the world. Trust me, that's the worst feeling in the world.
And you shared that you did this very early on in life, so I truly acknowledge you for your maturity and for your keenness. I think that was your belief that was being at play when you told yourself after engineering, I'm not just going to get into the rat race, I'm going to take
Right.
my time and see what really connects to me and go after it. So
Right.
very well said, Raj, very well said. And yes, viewers, when there is a beautiful chemistry between our talents and our interests, our work just becomes an expression of who we are. We simply seem to go with the flow, and as Raj says, it's not going to be a smooth sail, but definitely it's going to be a very something that you look forward to, something that you have the energy to thrive, to conquer, to exceed, to excel, no matter what gets thrown at you, because you are in your state of flow. You're using your talents, you're using your strengths, it's aligned. Like in Raj's case, he loves technology and he loves selling. And yes, of course, behind his selling, there's a lot of marketing. Again, when you talk to him in depth, you'll see that his selling is influenced a lot to do with his marketing. Am I right, Raj?
Yes, that is true. That is true.
Yeah, you kind of understand your customer's psyche. It's not just hard sell, but you really work on, connecting with them and then kind of bring that forth. So in Raj's case, there is a beautiful, his interest as well as his talent is so aligned, and you see him grow. And I'm sure, buddy, you're gonna grow much higher, wider,
Thank you so much.
farther, bigger, broader. And I wish you all the very best, Raj. And you're gonna
Thank
be a
you.
rock star. And I also look forward to you being a hero out here and contributing enormously to our country and to the world. So, wishing
Sure.
you all the very best, buddy, and wishing you all your dreams come true. And the last word is yours, my friend. What do you want to end the show with?
Uh, I, I just want to end with gratitude. I mean, thank you so much for allowing me to discover myself. Without that, I don't know how much time, how much energy, and how much uh, strength I would have wasted had I not been shown the correct path. I'm not just saying that because I'm speaking to you and we are doing a live session. I really mean that. So I mean, thank you so much for all the efforts that you've put in. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you
It means a
so
lot.
much, buddy. Thanks a lot. Yes, to be really frank, Raj, that's my passion out there. That's flowing. When I work with my coaches, and for me, I would love to see each one of them, each one of you really thriving and expressing yourself completely in your careers. So when you express yourself to your best, when you bring in all your talents, whatever you're gifted on, to your very best, and when that flows in your work, you are going to cause miracles. And that's the miracles that I want you to connect with your source and bring that on. So wishing you all the very best, my friend, and
Thank
God
you.
bless you. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much. Thank
Bye
you.
bye. And for all
Bye.
the viewers out there, yeah, Raj, you were saying?
No, I was just saying bye. You
Hey,
can continue.
superb. Thank you. For all the viewers out there, that's Raj, and he's doing simply awesome in his careers. Let's wish him the very best. And please do share this video, because there are a lot of people like Raj who could have failed initially in their life, but who have the opportunity to turn their failures into success. And Raj is a standing uh, he's just standing right in front of that. And not just that, Raj is also an indication of how, when you align your talents and your interests, you can do extremely great in your careers. So that's the beginning of Raj's greatness. Let's wish him all the best, and please do share this video. Until next Thursday, bye bye. Have a great week ahead. Bye, Raj.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Bye, Leela. Thank you.